It's the guys at brunch. Guys at brunch. Guys. It's the guys at brunch.
Welcome to RadioOnFire.com, home of Guys at Brunch. And now, here are your hosts, Sean Bradley and Nicholas.
Brunch. I'm Sean Bradley.
And I'm Nicholas. And joining us today is a very special guest. He's an author, a journalist, and a voiceover actor, and the list goes on. Mr. Wyatt Evans. I'm sorry, I messed up. Mr. Wyatt O'Brian Evans. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Listen, it's my pleasure. I've been wanting to be on this show for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know why mainly? So I can poke some fun at him.
Oh, yeah?
'Cause he's the one that, he acts up.
He started the trouble, right?
Yeah, he starts the trouble.
Right.
That's right.
I came across an article you wrote for the Huffington Post and about domestic violence, so I wanted to have you on and discuss that.
Right.
So, and we also discuss your book you just wrote. I just finished reading it, so
Did you
it's
like
a
it?
great book. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm glad you like that.
Right. So, for, what exactly is domestic violence?
Okay. I'm going to give everybody like the intimate partner violence and abuse primer 101. Okay. Intimate partner violence and abuse, the acronym is IPVA. It's simply domestic violence in the LGBTQ community. And one thing that I really want to make important and stress is that IPVA, intimate partner violence and abuse, can happen to anybody, regardless of size, strength, gender, sexual orientation, income, station in life, any of that. As a journalist, I have researched and written about IPVA extensively for like Huffington Post, Baltimore Gay Life, and other media. And I also conduct national IPVA seminars across the country.
Okay.
And also, too, my latest novel, Nothing Can Tear Us Apart, Rage. I've got to get that shameless plug in there, that you can get on WyattEvans.com. The overarching theme is IPVA, intimate partner violence and abuse. Let me also say that IPVA is all about control.
Okay. So IPA is basically the same as domestic violence, but when it comes to same-sex couples, it's
The/A.
Okay.
Exactly, because that acronym, that term, better satisfies, the LGBTQ community.
Okay.
When you think of domestic violence and abuse, you primarily think about the straight community. This is for our community.
Okay.
It's a broader term. And like I said, it's all about control. The abuser is exerting and maintaining control.
Okay.
So it doesn't have anything to do about love. It has everything to do about control. And then also, too, there are three components of IPVA.
Right.
You've got the emotional, you've got the mental, and you have got the physical. So it's important to understand that.
All right. I know you you are willing to talk about your experience because you was a victim of IPV.
Yeah.
And I'm so used to saying domestic violence.
I know.
So okay. So you was a victim of it, and I know you were willing to talk about it. So what are some of the things that you went through?
Okay.
And then we can get into like what are the signs that you may have ignored.
Exactly. Before I get into my story, let me say that a lot of people think that the abuser cannot control his or her actions, but he or she can. For example, if there are consequences, like if the popo is ready to throw their asses in jail, they're going to stop. And they then pick and choose the time to attack their victims. Let me also say that IPVA is heavily stigmatized, particularly within our community, and particularly amongst gay and SGL men, because let's face it, no man wants it known that another man is kicking his ass. So therefore, you've got all of this stigma attached to it. So therefore, as a result, it's underreported. And let me give you some quick stats. Recent studies have indicated that every year, at least 500,000 gay or SGL men are abused, and 1 in every 4 LGBTQ relationship is abusive in some way.
Okay.
Right.
And you got this information on your website, right? As far as like the statistics and everything.
Not on the website, but in the articles that I've written.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
Because I've written a lot of articles about IPVA for my
Okay.
website, WyattEvans.com, and for other media.
So the article I came across that you wrote, I think this was for Huffington Post. I read a couple of your
Right.
articles, but I know you said that your the ex-perpetrator that you was with, he would call your job or come up unannounced. So how did that start off?
Damn, Sean. Okay, let me tell you what my story is.
Okay.
Before I tell you what happened to me in my particular situation, I have to say that one's backstory a lot of times leads you to fall into IPVA. It really, really does. For example, with me, my father died when I was very young, so I never knew him really. There was not a consistent father figure in the home. And also, too, during the ages of 5 to 7, I was sexually abused by a couple. It was a man and a woman. The female, her name was Helen, was my babysitter. And then I was grappling with being gay because I knew that I was gay at a very, very early age. And I grew up in, decades in the past where, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but back then, it's easier now to be gay. Gay is just more
Right.
accepted. So all of those things came together for me and produced a lot of self-esteem issues and some serious insecurities. So anyway, I took that all into my early 20s. And when I met my first lover, I'll call him Alex, he was my abuser, he picked up on it. And the classic abuser, which he was, has this uncanny ability to pick up on your insecurities, your lack of self-esteem, zero in on it, and manipulate and exploit. So that's what he did. So anyway, I met him. I was a senior in college, and he was a junior, and we fell in love instantly. I mean, I loved his mind, his creativity, his body. He had the muscles that I wanted, nice juicy ass, nice legs, all of that. We had hot sex. We formed this, stop, Sean. We formed this monogamous relationship. And then the honeymoon period started, which happens a lot in IPVA situations.
But
Then the
how
warning
long
signs.
how long did it take before this relationship got serious?
We dated for several months, then we,
Was there signs there in the beginning before the relationship got into serious?
no.
Okay, so there's not always signs for the victim to spot, or it's not signs that the
on.
perpetrator usually, drop hints or something.
Sometimes it happens as you're forming the relationship, but it usually happens after you become part of that committed relationship. Because see, then you have this honeymoon period where everything is just clicking along, going very nicely. And that happens a lot in IPVA situations, which happened with me.
Okay.
So then the warning signs happen. For example, he would clock me pretty much 24/7, blow up the phone, and in the very beginning, I was really flattered by that because I was insecure. I said, wow, this guy really loves me and all of that stuff. And then it was like the belittling, disparaging remarks, the isolation from family and friends.
Like when you say clock you, he would check in like every hour or something?
Not every hour, but too many times during the day.
But where are you? What you doing? Where you are? Who are you with?
Exactly. And
So
then-
are they signs? Are they signs?
Yeah, see, these are the warning signs that I'm giving. This clocking you, wanting to know where you are all the time, or almost all the time,
Okay.
blowing up your phone, and at first you might think it's flattering and that he or she loves you, but then you realize something ain't right.
Okay.
And then the isolation from family and friends. Oh, you don't need to be with your family. You don't need to be with your friends, that sort of thing.
I know you mentioned like you had low self-esteem going into the relationship. Do you feel like sometimes the perpetrator, like the victim, always have to have low self-esteem before entering a relationship, or is sometimes the perpetrator just break down someone's self-esteem once they get into the relationship?
From the research that I've done, it's mostly the former where the victim enters into this type of relationship with serious insecurities and a lack of self-esteem. And then the perpetrator, the abuser, just zeroes in on it and manipulates and exploits, and that's what happened to me.
Because you can tell when a person has low self-esteem, and I mean, if the person's with you, intimate with you, they can definitely tell what your insecurities are and prey upon them. Because again, if I'm calling you, where are you? What are you doing? Who you with? Most people are like, what? Why you? I'm at work. I'm at school. Leave me alone.
Right.
You know, I'll call you later. Bye. You know.
Exactly.
So.
And you know, the younger you are, the more difficult it is to realize that this is not good for you. And particularly if you have, you know, self-esteem issues and insecurities the way I had. And, you know, like I said, it was the isolation, the belittling, oh, you're nothing.
So is this still the honeymoon phase?
No, we have gone from the honeymoon phase to the warning sign phase.
Okay.
You know, at first,
how many stages are there?
It depends. Generally speaking, the abuser will go right from the honeymoon stage to beginning to abuse you.
Okay.
He or she is feeling you out, you know, picking up your insecurities and all of that stuff, so he can manipulate and exploit, or she, he or she. So it was all of the isolation, verbal abuse, and this continued for like a couple of years, and also too,
Before the explosion?
before the explosion. I'm gonna get to
Okay.
that in a second. Also too, I think unconsciously a little scared of him because he was physically stronger than I was and all of that stuff. So I think that also played into it a little bit.
But I'm sure people will look at you, and these are, you know, I'm sure the viewers would look at you and say, you look like a pretty strong guy yourself.
Oh, I kick ass now.
Okay.
But he was like 20, like a teenager.
I'm just saying what
back
they
then.
would say. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
sure how small you are then, but I'm just
Exactly.
saying.
Right, and you see, that's why I said in my preface that it can happen to anybody. I mean, you've seen Dr. Phil and other talk shows where Marines were beaten up by their wives. So, don't laugh, but you've seen that. I mean, so again, anybody, it doesn't matter, age,
Okay.
gender,
So
sexuality, whatever.
let's get to the explosion, because I always wonder, like, when they do get to the explosion stage of the IPV,
IPVA.
is it usually
IPVA.
alcohol? If I say domestic violence, forgive me, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Is it usually alcohol or some substance involved?
It can. I mean, that definitely can exasperate.
For your situation.
For my situation, no. But Alex, my abuser, came from the home where his father was verbally and physically abusive to his mother. And a lot of abusers will bring that into their adult relationship.
Right.
So that can play a part.
So there was no, like, substance abuse as far as
No,
this happened?
fortunately, there was no substance abuse.
Okay.
Now, there were like two breaking points where I was concerned. The first was also too, he would threaten to out me at work, you know, and that was like, you know, like in the 80s or whatever, that was a big deal. So anyway, we had this horrible telephone argument, and he said, I'm gonna kill myself. And he did. Actually, what he did was he took an overdose of sleeping pills, and I had to get him to the hospital. And that would have been the perfect time for me to leave, but I didn't do it because I love this person. I felt responsible for this person. I felt like I was in a father-son relationship, and I allowed him to make me feel guilty.
And because he had control over you by then, I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
And you say, like you said, you had low self-esteem.
And see, the abuser will do this. It's a cycle of abuse. It's start, stop, start, stop. They'll do shit, then they'll apologize and cry about it and say, I'll never do it again. And they do it again. So it keeps you off balance. What I did do, however, was we were living together. I split from him. I maintained the relationship, but I lived in a separate residence. That pissed him off because he didn't have the access that he was used to.
Okay. And you say, like, abusers can control their behavior.
Yes, they can. For example, if they know the popo's coming to lock up their asses, they're going to stop, or they're going to think twice before they do it. If they feel that there are consequences and ramifications to their actions, they will stop. They will pick and choose when to do it.
When yours got physical, like, did you call the cops?
What happened with me was, you know, after the suicide attempt rather, we were together for like a year and some change. And he was pissed, like I said, because he didn't have the access that he used to have. So I remember it was a spring day, nice sunny day, and I was shopping at the Giant
I remember the
food
story.
store, and he popped up on me and clocked me, and we started to fight. Yeah, man, we were. It was so embarrassing. We were rolling in the parking lot. Thankfully, nobody had to be hospitalized. But I said to myself,
Oh, you did defend yourself.
Yeah, I did defend myself.
Okay.
I said, this is it. That was the breaking point for me. And I was lucky because one of my brother-in-laws was this tough cop. And he just rolled up on him and said, look, this is going to end. And he put the fear of God in him. Mm-hmm. And so we went our separate ways. And I'm just going to say this, and you can ask a question. The best thing that I could have done for myself was to get therapy. I am such a strong advocate and proponent of therapy because I got therapy for a couple of years. It put me on the road to self-discovery and healing and made me whole. And Sean is just looking at me like, what the fuck is this? But
no, not the therapy part. I'm not the therapy part at all.
Okay. So,
do you look at the perpetrators as victims also? Because I know you said that you went through trauma from your childhood, and so did he. So do you look at it as both parties are the victim?
In a way, yeah, but it doesn't excuse what the abuser does. Right. It doesn't. Yeah, but you can say that because this abuser is not leading the life that he should.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the perpetrator can love the victim, or they just love controlling the victim?
That's a good question. I think the perpetrator can, but I think the perpetrator can love the victim, but it's more about control more than anything. It's that control. It's that exerting and maintaining that control.
Right. But I'm saying when I read your article and you said it's about the control, I wondered to myself, well, do they love the person they're with, or do they just love having total control?
I think, number one, they love having total control.
Okay, and then maybe the person comes after that.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so you said when y'all got into the altercation at the giant grocery store.
Yeah.
And luckily, that was the last time anything like that happened between you and this particular person.
Mm-hmm.
So was that the first time that you were physically assaulted by your ex?
I was lucky. Well, let me say that a lot of times the emotional and the mental can leave deeper wounds than the physical, because you can carry that with you for a longer period of time, because the physical wounds might heal, but the emotional and mental might take a much longer period of time. I was lucky in that that was the only time it was physical, because I think he felt like the emotional and the mental kept me in check. Which
well,
it did,
and because you say your brother-in-law, I think, was a police officer?
Yeah, and that's a really good point. A very, very good point, Nick. He probably said to himself,
well, it's consequences.
Yeah, right. But it was the lack of access was driving him nuts. Mm-hmm. And like I said, he just popped up on me, and we were just rolling. It was a trip.
Now, after this particular experience with your first lover, did this give you the drive or the passion to go this particular route and to delve into IPVA and explore those intricacies about it? Or did other things happen along your path to lead you to where you are today?
I'm really passionate about this whole issue, because I know it's a burning issue in our community. Like I said, it's more prevalent than people think. And that I know people who've been emotionally, mentally, physically abused. And when I do my workshops, I'm talking to people and I'm saying, wow, this happened to you too. So as a journalist, it's my signature issue that I talk about, that I write about, because again, it's so important. A lot of people.
See, I wouldn't. Me personally, and this just be, I guess, me being in my little own selfish cocoon or bubble. Sure. Me personally, I wouldn't think that it would be a lot of men out there that are in an IPVA situation. Like one of my ex at the time, he had said that he had been in an abusive relationship where they were both just fighting. So it wasn't, a dominant and a submissive. It was like they were just both going. And I'm like, I don't do domestic violence, period. I'm like, babe, we ain't going there at all. With anybody, I'm like, if we can't talk like adults, we ain't got to talk about.
Right.
No, so and if I had to say no twice, it's not gonna be nice. The second time I had to say no. So again, but you're saying that there are out there those situations. So
more than you think, and again, like I said, the reason why it's so underreported because men do not want it known that another man is whooping their ass.
Well, not even that, but because Nicholas, you had an experience where the cops were called, and
I had an
yeah.
experience with the cops. I were called, but that was a situational IPVA, and the situational IPVA, most people, heterosexual couple, all couples mostly go through a situational domestic violence experience.
No,
The
well,
situational domestic violence experience is where it happened once and then it don't happen again.
No, what I'm saying about the police part is like when you were saying the police came, and did you say something like they were kind of like, you know, you guys, they did like almost kind of like taunt you guys a little bit, not.
Well, the cops said that I know what's going on here. They said one of you caught someone cheating, and that's what they said. And I was like, no, that's not going on at all. So that's what
And
happened.
I don't think people don't want that type of, you know, they want to be, neither one of them want to be like put in a position to where they have to kind of answer, you know, about their sexuality to a law enforcement officer, you know, and stuff like that.
That's the point I'm making, is stigma.
Yeah.
And
It's the different shades of stigma. You don't want anyone to know that, you might not want anyone to know that you're actually gay, living with a guy in that type of in an intimate relationship. You definitely don't want somebody to know that another guy's beating up on you, and that you are not coming out on the better end of the stick, so to speak. So you got a whole lot of stigma.
I think a lot of it is also that people don't have self-love and they don't know their worth. So I think
Absolutely.
I always feel like that's what it gets down to.
Yeah, the low
You know?
self-esteem.
Yeah, low self-esteem, definitely. Because, I mean, you know, like the research that I've done on it, and I just always feel like, you know, there's some type of signs there before you get into this relationship. And I think some people choose to go forward. They choose to ignore the signs because they're looking for love and they don't love themselves.
Absolutely.
So what would you do, like, if you had a friend going through an IPVA situation, and your friend was going through, and you were telling your friend, you know, come on, you need to leave that situation alone, and your friend keeps going back, and then you even may witness an altercation. You might even witness an altercation. As a friend, do you stand on the sidelines and just be like, look, y'all break it up, or do you get in it? What do you do if you have a friend going through that?
You know, Sean, that's an excellent question. It depends upon your friend. A lot of times, again, it's the stigma. They don't want you to know. They love this person. They're beaten down. And they keep going back because that's all they know. And sometimes, even though, you know, you're a friend and you're trying to look out for him, sometimes you can push your friend even closer to the abuser. It's like hitting rock bottom. The victim has got to hit rock bottom, and it has to say, my life has got to change. I can't deal with this anymore. This fool might kill me. I don't have quality of life anymore. And what the victim has to do is just develop, I call it the great escape. First of all, you've got to get rid of the fear and say, I want a better quality of life, a better standard of life. And then you have got to talk. You got to tell people. You got to talk, because if nobody knows what's going on, you know, you got a problem. So you got to talk to people, and you've got to do your research to get out of the situation.
So it would be good to, if you see a friend going through it, you should talk to them because they need that support. They need a network of support and someone they feel like they can turn to, and not just going to like judge them and say, leave your man. But just, I guess, be their sounding board.
Yeah, but sometimes the victim does not want a sounding board. So, and sometimes if you pursue it, you're going to push the victim closer to the abuser.
Right. But when I say be the sounding board, I mean, you know, if you witness it going on, you can say we can talk about it, but not force them to.
Absolutely.
So let them come to you with it. Don't always keep bringing it up, but I mean, like, let them talk to you. Because I think a lot of people do want, I mean, you know, my experience with it, they do want someone to talk to about it and talk about it. You know,
I would be the opposite. I would be like, if I had a friend going through this situation, I would look at it like a Rihanna and Chris Brown situation. I would be like, look, I try to step in, you know, to help you out, but you decide to go back to him. So when he drags you down the street kicking and screaming, I'm going to shut my front door and go sit down and keep watching TV.
Sean, that's not very productive. I don't mean to laugh. That's not very productive, no.
But again,
I know
you just said you got to let him hit rock bottom. So, I mean, you hitting that pavement pretty hard. I mean, where the bottom is?
Yeah, I mean...
You think all of them have to hit rock bottom?
I think, yeah, I do. The person, the person has to come to the conclusion that it's time to leave.
But
and
they
time
feel
to
like
make a
it's no
change.
other way.
Right.
Because those situations can get very violent, and as the friends trying to step in to help out, you could get hurt or worse. So I'm like, if I'm going to step in and put myself in danger the first time for you because we friends, but if you want to be fool enough to go back and let them go upside your head yet again, you think I'm going? No, I'm gonna go sit down.
Well, you can be a little more diplomatic about it.
I'm gonna go sit down.
Yeah, Sean,
So
come on.
after that relationship, did you find yourself after that like dating guys? Did you find yourself like spotting guys that was, exhibiting the same behavior?
Let me tell you about therapy. Once you get a good therapist and it really works.
Did you go to therapy right away, right after that
Yes.
relationship?
Yes, for a couple of years. And I had a great therapist. And like I said, it worked wonders for me. And I tell people that if you have a good therapist and you've gone through the process in the right way, you can spot crazy ass people. You can say to yourself, oh, he's passive aggressive. Oh, he's got some problems. He's a nutcase. But the most important thing is that you're understanding yourself and you figure out what makes yourself tick so that you don't repeat these, these horrible behavior patterns that are going to hurt you. So
Now you were saying that earlier you were saying you went through therapy and everything, and now you're an older man and you kicking ass now. Were you
Put it
in a
like
situation
that.
to where were you in a situation where you decided to fight back?
after the first abuse situation, I've never been in another situation like that.
Okay.
Thank God for that. I see the signs. If there's signs, I see them. And I said, oh, no. He might have a nice ass. He might have nice legs. You know what I'm
But
saying?
do we all in all relationships are there some signs, but they might not be a perpetrator where they'll go as far as to continue to like the behavior is constantly like are there signs in all relationships?
Repeat that.
Like are there always like some of the signs that you will read about when I did the research is those signs in mostly all of our relationship at one point in time.
You mean like, I think that if you're in tune with yourself and you know yourself, when certain things happen, like if somebody is blowing up your phone, I'm going to say to myself, I just met you, motherfucker. Why are you doing this? I could be at work. I could be, to me, that's just too, after what I've gone through, that's just too much attention.
Well, when you
And
say
some-
blowing up your phone, is it like, where are you? Or, hey, how you doing?
That-
I'm thinking about you, something
Right.
like that. Because those two very two different things.
True, but it can sometimes it overlaps too. I mean, if somebody, let's say you met somebody and you clicked and all of that stuff, and you haven't gotten into a relationship yet, and let's just say he calls you 4, 5, 6 times a day. To me, that's a little much.
Well, you're infatuated.
Yeah,
That's early on.
You're infatuated.
Yeah,
You happy. It's new. It's fresh. You ready to see what you ready to pull the drawers down and see what the big booty look like.
Look. I have a life. He has a life. That's too much. That's a little. You have to know yourself well enough, and some people don't, to know whether it's bordering on abuse, or if that's a warning sign or not. If somebody's blowing up your phone and said, "Where are you?" You should, where are you? I want to spend all this time
Well,
with you.
that's very different.
That's clear cut.
That's very different.
Some
Instead of
it-
hey, good morning, I'm thinking
Yeah.
of you. That's what I'm saying. It's two different. There's two different situations to me. There's the
Yeah.
infatuation of a normal person, and then there's the crazy person that's in. What are you doing? Where are you? Blah 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 blah.
But if somebody's calling me 6, 7 times a day, to me that's a little much.
Well, we ain't talking about calling nowadays. They texting nowadays.
Yeah,
But they just
no,
say,
no.
I'm thinking of you.
The
but
bottom
they
line
calling
is you got to figure out
for you.
for you. It very well may not be, but you got some clear warning signs that I told you about, and it just happens more in our community than we want to even talk about. Yeah.
Okay. Let's we're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna come back and talk about your book.
Cool.
All right, welcome back to Guys at Brunch.
And we're still here with Wyatt O'Brian Evans.
Yeah.
And you're gonna tell us a little about your book. So, tell
Yes.
us about it.
Yeah.
What's the name of the book? Say the name.
Nothing can tear us apart. Rage. Now, let me give you the 411. Let me encapsulate it. It's the story of two masculine men of color. They are openly gay, upwardly mobile. You have Wes, who is this wealthy, handsome African-American celebrity entrepreneur.
He put you in the mind of Tyler Perry. Not because I'm saying he gay, but I'm just saying because of all the stuff that he got going on.
Wait a minute.
This has nothing to do with Tyler Perry.
Is that your opinion?
You just picked Tyler Perry just
No,
out
I'm
the
just
blue.
saying. Once you read
He
the
just
book,
had-
I
he
think
just had a
everyone would
child.
agree once you read the
But
book.
there is
baby.
the old boy. His name is Lee Daniels now too. Now.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, I think he got a little bit more going
How's that
on
different?
in the book.
Because isn't Lee Daniels openly gay?
Oh
Yeah.
well.
Tyler Perry is
But-
not.
Tyler
wait,
Perry.
Oh, this guy is
Yeah,
openly
I'm
gay.
assuming that.
Yeah.
I don't know what he is.
Oh, Wes
Yeah,
is
what he
Wes is openly gay.
Lee
But I'm just
Daniels
saying.
is.
Lee Daniels is
Yes,
openly
he's
gay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And-
Tyler Perry has a girlfriend and a baby.
Well, that's a
and-
beard. Come on. Come on, that's a beard. Let me get to my book.
Right.
My
We got
book.
sidetracked.
Anyway, again, you got these two openly gay, masculine men of color, upwardly mobile. You have Wesley, who is this African American guy. He is a wealthy entrepreneur, celebrity, and then you've got Antonio. Tonio is his nickname, and he is this deliciously muscular Latino bodyguard, chief of security. And they first meet when Wes is interviewing Antonio for his chief of security position. They have this instant attraction, but they don't act on it because, they're saying, shit, we really mix business with pleasure here, and they both have been burned before in the love department. But Wes hires him, and they get to know each other on these deep, profound levels. They fall in love. They form this monogamous relationship, have all of this hot sex, as you know, because you read the book. Mm-hmm. But there are some problems. You got some ethnic, racial tensions going on. Antonio's father hates Wes. You got the down low issue going on. You got some top bottom issues. Originally, Antonio says that he's this masculine bottom, but Wesley finds out after they get committed that he's versatile. And Wesley doesn't want to give up the ass, so they have to negotiate that. And then,
Is that why you keep saying? Is that why you keep saying masculine and monogamous relationships?
huh? What?
Because you said it twice. You said monogamous relationship. Like they decided to form a monogamous relationship instead of saying they decided to form a relationship.
Well, they want it to be exclusive, so exclusivity means monogamous. Mr. Sean Bradley.
No, but I'm just saying, why are we going out into the latest detail? Because
Well, I think what Sean's saying is most times when people have relationships, you automatically think exclusive.
Right.
Like open relationships is still kind of new. It's been around forever, but
Whatever. I just
Okay.
was making a point.
okay. I was just saying what you were
Valid
saying.
point. I got you covered. But anyway, so they have all these issues going on. And then, last but not least, is this gangster who has it in for Wes. So what he does is Antonio has these insecurities, abandonment, and all that horrible stuff. So he manipulates the gangster, manipulates Antonio into believing that Wes has been cheating. Antonio batters Wes. Wes kicks him to the curb. There's a whole lot of other shit going on, as you know. Mm-hmm. And because I love soap operas, the big question is, will these two guys get back together? The last 3 chapters will blow your mind, and there is this huge cliffhanger at the end.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to read an excerpt from your book?
Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read something light and nice. I'm not going to read the part where Antonio batters Wes. I'm going to read the part where Wes meets Antonio for the very first time as he is interviewing Antonio. And Antonio's last name is Rios. He's Latino. So here we go. Y'all, Rios was a fucking sight to behold. A ruggedly handsome brick house. He was 6'4", 280 muscular pounds. Massively built and exquisitely proportioned, Rios was hands down a bodybuilder's bodybuilder. Powerful wide neck, barn door shoulders, bowling ball biceps, horseshoe triceps, chiseled, expansive, impeccable pecs, and a narrow, firm waist. And the way his jeans fit, damn, this is Wes speaking. I could tell that he owned some humongous glutes and calves, and gleefully something else indeed. Now the stud was clad entirely in black, shirt, jazzy but tasteful tie, form-fitting jeans, and kick-ass cowboy boots. Masculinity with touches of sensitivity oozed out of him. I was fucking taken aback, which usually doesn't happen often. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Kelly. Rio smiled broadly. That 100-watt grin could have lit up all of Washington, D.C. Immediately extending his power-packed mitt, he followed with, "Thanks so much for this opportunity." This stud man had this syrupy, so sensual, low baritone with a full helping heaping of Latin accent stirred in for good measure. And his eyes, they were this liquid green. They seemed to be as endless as an ocean, sucking you right in. They peered deep inside, searching for the real you. I swore they seemed to have a life all their own. And his hand clasp, God, it was warm, supremely confident, well manicured. Those hands were like meat cleavers, so thick, so sturdy, so powerful. His touch, his grasp made my whole freaking body tingle through and through. Nobody, and I do mean nobody, had touched me that way in what seemed like fucking eons. I swallowed hard. And then, without warning, our eyes seemed to zoom into each other like heat-seeking missiles. After reaching their destination, they settled into the lockdown position. And all of a sudden, that old magical thing called chemistry burst forth, spinning around, totally engulfing us. The sensation was electric, hard-hitting, exciting, though downright scary. Remember that old song, Just Don't Disturb This Groove? Well, this was it. So they had this instant, immediate attraction.
Well,
Yes.
it sounds like, what's the Hispanic dude name?
Antonio.
Antonio. Sound like he got a little dick. Because he.
I like what? What you say?
It sounds like he got a little dick because
No, he got a big
the
dick.
way you described him, you said 6'4", 280, wide neck, wide shoulders, big thighs, and we see these men all the time, bodybuilder types, and they got like little nuggets.
No, look, I wrote the book.
I know. I'm just,
I wrote the motherfucking book. This is my book. The boy's got dick. Damn.
So,
Yes.
this was like a situational kind of, I guess, domestic violence thing.
Yeah. Again, near the end, like Antonio, because you read the book, Antonio's got a lot of different issues, particularly abandonment. And what happens is this guy, this gangster who has it in for Wes, it manipulates these insecurities that Antonio has. Antonio thinks that Wes is cheating on him, and he batters Wes, and that's the IPVA portion of it. So the big question is, will Wes forgive Antonio? Will they get back together? But so much other stuff is going on, and there's this huge cliffhanger at the end, which sets it up for the sequel.
Okay.
Yeah.
And see, when I did read it, I did feel like I saw other signs. So I was wondering, did you write it as it was like a situational, like a one-time event, or would
I get your
Antonio
point. I get your
eventually
point. I get your point.
show like he is like a perpetrator?
Right. There's only one instance of IPVA in here, in this novel, right? Which is the physical. Antonio didn't mentally abuse him, didn't emotionally abuse him. He physically abused him. He lost his top, which is no excuse for him losing his temper.
He seemed like he would lose it often, like when he would like get angry over the phone, like, "Oh, you ain't what you say? Like you ain't taking me back or something." Or,
now, were they still working? Was he still working for him? When they were together?
Yeah, what happened was, I'm not going to tell the whole thing.
did you mean after they broke up?
After he whooped his ass, was he still, like during the time when he whooped his ass, was he still his head security?
No.
I mean, so but by the time by the time he whooped his ass, they
had split. Right. Yeah, after Antonio battered Wes kicked him to the curb. So no job.
No. I'm saying so when he whooped his ass, he was still employed.
No, after Antonio beat up Wes broke off the relationship.
Right, I got
he
that.
lost his job.
Right. So
he lost the mansion.
No, I got that. So what I'm saying is, a split second before the ass whooping, he was still employed.
Yes,
That's what I'm saying. So,
right.
okay.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, come on. Of course.
So what
yeah.
we okay? I got you.
Yeah,
That's low self-esteem then, because I'm like, ain't no damn way I'm gonna be paying you and you talk to me that kind of way. The hell.
You're funny. So yeah, that's nothing can tear us apart. Rage.
Okay, and where can I get it again?
WyattEvans.com. You can also get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. But, go to my website because, there's so much good stuff there too. Yeah.
And you also do a radio show.
Yes, I do. I am the host of the Wyatt O'Brian Evans Show on Papi Chulo Radio. My summer series begins May 31st, and what I do is I interview diverse individuals in the LGBTQ community. It could be a porn star, it could be an activist, it could be Sean, it could be Nicholas, and different subjects like IPVA. I'm going to do a show on prison rape this summer as well. So yeah.
At the dome. We know you at the dome.
Well, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
So make sure y'all check Wyatt out, and make sure you subscribe to Guys at Brunch on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter,
Instagram.
right? And you can watch us live Tuesdays at 8:30 on radio on fire.com.
All right, you guys.
All right.
Bye.